All right, after looking at some of your responses from yesterday, I just wanted to clarify a few things that I don't think got hit hard enough in the video from yesterday. So if you got these totally right, then go ahead and move on. But I want to really point out how to write an equation. That was something that we weren't quite doing right. So I want to explain that part, and then I'll also solve these. So these are the problems from yesterday that you were supposed to solve and post on Seesaw. So when we're writing an equation, we remember way back when we talked about equations, you almost have to think about it backwards from how you solve, right? Because when you have an equation, remember how you undo what you do to either side to get that variable by itself? Well, some of you are just showing that work, and that's not an equation, okay? So you have to think, how would I show that equation as far as what's happening to the variable? So for this one, for example, these two show a supplementary angle, so we know together they're going to equal that 180. And so that's how we want to make sure we're setting this up, is that we're equaling to 180. So how are we equaling 180? We are adding 36 plus the 3x to equal 180. That would be an equation that could represent this. Now you could flip it around, right? You could have 3x plus 36 equals 180. That would be an acceptable order too. Another thing you could do is, since you know the 36 degrees, you could take that away from 180 to start with and get that 144. And you could just set up your equation as 3x equals 140. But notice every time I'm including the variable. I'm not just writing like 180 minus 36 equals 144. That is not actually an equation. Sorry, my handwriting got a little bad there. That's not actually an equation. That's really an expression, right? Like that's really representing an expression of what you're doing to solve. And what we want to show is what's happening with that variable, okay? So these would be the equations that we would want to use in order to represent how to solve for x. Okay, so just make sure that's really clear. When you did this one, depending on whether you did one of these two equations versus this one, eventually you would get to this point anyways. And so you divide 144 by 3 to get 48. Okay, so let me look at the other problem. So now this one, very similar to the last one, except now these are complementary angles, so we know these are going to add up to 90. So two ways you could do that. You could show 3x minus 2 to represent that part, plus the 50 all equals 90, right? Because these are complementary angles. That's one way you could do it. You could obviously have the 50 part come first and then write 3x minus 2. To get 90. The one other thing you could do is, if you know these are both supposed to be 90 and you know this one's already 50, then you know that the 3x minus 2 equals 40. That would be an acceptable equation too. But notice all of those have that variable included. I'm not just showing the work, I'm showing the equation first, then we solve for it, okay? Very big difference. So if you have any questions on that, please feel free to ask. But I just wanted to give you that recap on how we write equations, because some of you were just showing what the work would be. I need you to show the equation. I want to make sure you knew that before moving on to the next step. Okay, good luck, and feel free to shoot me an email if you need to.